Evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? The trouble of the angry eight trouble the ginseng gangry eight trouble the ginseng gangry eight gangry eight it's trouble the gangry eight it's trouble the dodgy the do the gangry eight. All right, let me stop. Let me chill out. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Orion, what? Orion, why'd you come in here like a fucking spam? You came in here like spam, bro. Why'd you come in here like spam, bro? I don't know how to feel about any of this. This shit is wild. Let's see. Anywho. Welcome. It's your boy, Angry. I'm back in the building again. And we about to talk. We about to have conversations about life and humanity and love. What's that song? Peace, the joy, yeah. Oh, sorry, hold on. All right. All right. So, because I need P4 Dancing All Night on Switch, and I mean, I really need it. You really need it? You really need Persona Foil. Persona Foil. Persona 4 Dancing All Night on Switch. Why? I don't understand why that is the game that is like, yeah, do that. Because it's true that. But anyways, how's everyone doing this evening? Hopefully everyone is good. I'm conscious. Barely, but I'm here. Hopefully everyone's doing good. Can you sing Ghostbusters? No. Primarily because you asked me to. I can't sing it because you asked me to sing it, man, and I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to fall into your demands. I just can't be bothered. We do have an actual topic for tonight, though, so we're gonna humor the actual topic of discussion because I feel like it's important to do so. So we will do so. But I'm gonna let people get in here, and hope everyone's had an okay week. Nothing too stressful, nothing too strenuous. We're in summertime, so hopefully people are still enjoying their summers and the peace and time of mind they have. It's a wonderful thing, I promise you. I swear to God, it's such a great thing to enjoy this peace that one can only obtain through the magic and the greatness of, music. But the title actually is something that came to me. My nephew's fine, Lightning. The title of this kind of came to me on a walk, I want to say a couple of days ago, which kind of goes into like healthy relationships with you and your work, essentially. Like, it's something that I don't know really gets brought up as much as it probably should be, and I think part of the reason why it doesn't is because, well, it's a misunderstanding of people not really understanding the importance of having that balance, and then knowing when and when not to be invested in the enjoying of yourself in a work environment versus you as a like professional. So the general premise is this: when I ask what are you worth, it kind of goes in different ways. This can also imply for your like interactions and like social relationships. But I think what I'll do is I'll start with work and end with social, because work is a lot more cut and dry, whereas social is a little bit hard to define, because at the end of the day, you as the individual are setting the parameters of how much you are worth in that context. So in a work environment, it's set, okay? You have a set time that you come in for work, whether it's like 7 to 4, 8 to 5, 9 to 6. You have a set amount of time you're at work. And I think the problem that a lot of people in the modern day struggle with is that people think they're not getting compensated or properly proper compensation for the time that they put in or the work that they put in. And the problem is you got to understand what kind of job you're at and what those people are at your job are paying you to do and what that actually entails. Because here's the thing. When we first get into our first job, no one's trying to make a bad impression, especially if you need the job. If you need the job and you really want the money and you're trying to be like a established worker and gain a positive reputation about yourself, most people put in a pretty strong effort on their first job. That's if you care. If you don't care, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, if you care, most of those individuals will do extra shit. They'll do the extra work. They'll put in extra hours because that's what that's what a lot of jobs ask you anyway. The problem is that jobs are going to do everything they want to get as much out of their investment in you as a worker. Now, that doesn't mean this shit going to correlate to a situation that's inherently beneficial to you as an individual, because it's obvious that plenty of jobs do wild and crazy and scandalous shit for the sake of, hey man, if you could have said no or some BS like that. Like, for example, I was having this conversation. I have a friend who they're so focused on their job and want to do such a good job that even though they get off at 3 o'clock because they come in at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, what they'll end up doing is they'll hit around 3 o'clock, but they don't want to leave anything half finished. Now, obviously, depending on the job, depends on how important this actually is. But one of the things I think people don't understand is that once your job is to clarify that your job for that day ends at 3 o'clock, you are no longer required to be in that position. Now, like I said, it depends on the job, because some jobs are a lot more overbearing with that kind of stuff than others. But the idea is, if I'm supposed to work until 3, at 3 o'clock, I'm leaving. Now, some people are like, well, you could get this done and you can get that done. And, I don't want to leave this for the next person. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that next person is not required nor is guaranteed to show you the same courtesy as you do. I'll use like a basic like restaurant type job, right? You work a shift and then the next person comes over to take over your shift. And all of us have had a situation where your one person has ended their shift, you've come in on the next shift and had to deal with some BS because the other person left it because they didn't have to deal with it, right? We've all had this done to us, and a lot of us have done it ourselves because we're like, yeah, in some ways, people view that as asshole-ish behavior, right? Why in the world wouldn't you just finish the task you were doing, like, before you go home? And it's like, well, because if you did that, then you would be working overtime with no pay. And who the fuck is out here getting paid to do that? And the problem with that is that you ain't paying me to sit here and do the extra things. The extra things is going out of my way to finish tasks so the next person's shift doesn't start off disrespectfully. You are not required to do that. And no one will actually cut you that. No one's required to cut you that same courtesy. And that's because you have to value your time. If you have things to get done, if you have other things you're doing, a lot of people when they first work are doing like 3 or 4 other things. They're going to school, right? They got a second job. They got a responsibility, whether it's a child or a relationship of some sort. There are other things in your life going on other than like this job. And if this job isn't compensating you for that time, do not put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of, because it's really fucking easy, because the job's not going to go, whoa, buddy, why are you still working? Why are you still giving me extra hours or minutes of work when I'm not paying you for them? They don't care. It's extra. It's free labor at that point. You're being generous enough to offer them free labor, and they're not going to be like, no. Who the hell's like, hey, I know you just gave me like a bunch of your time, but I'm going to unintentionally give you some more because of how I am as a worker. No, don't do that to yourself. Now, some bosses are considerate enough to recognize that as a problem and will actively be like, okay, I'm not going to put you through that situation. Go ahead and go home. Don't work yourself to death for this job. But a lot of jobs don't care. A lot of jobs don't care because, free labor. And this is what I mean by know what your worth is. There are some people who are so anal retentive to be like, I don't want to be the person who had leaves something half finished. You're unfortunately fighting against your own neurosis. Because realistically, you don't owe anybody a goddamn thing after like 8 o'clock when you get off, right? But I know, for example, in my job, I work IT, right? So I do a lot of fixing computers. And when it hits 4 o'clock, I'm getting the fuck out and I'm going home. I'm going home at 4 o'clock. That doesn't mean I haven't had my moments of being like a teacher asked me for something, and for the sake of me knowing it's a quick fix, I will sometimes push the envelope and go a little forward. Which I get as a worker. That's how some people are, and that's just an issue. But it should not be domineering either. A, fix the way you work out your schedule during the day to where that thing doesn't happen, or you're gonna have to learn that it's okay to leave things half done, considering you're not required to be there anymore. But like I said, it's a person fighting against their own neurosis. You were literally fighting against yourself. There is a dude that I used to work with. He doesn't work there anymore. Who used to, so like obviously I fix PCs, and for the sake of being like overly aggressive and being proactive instead of reactive. I hate that terminology, but whatever. But for the sake of being proactive instead of being reactive, what he used to do is he used to have the parts that were coming to be fixed to be swapped out for the broken devices. Instead of just having them just be sent at the school, he would also have them sent at his house, and he would work on these things at the house. Now, I would call that dude a very hard worker. I would also call that dude insane, because why are you doing schoolwork at home? For what reason are you getting devices getting fixed at your house on your time, on your dime, and nobody is stopping you? Because so the higher ups, I don't know if the highest people knew, but like his like manager and them knew, and they kind of just let him do what he did. And although that helped his school out, it also meant he had no time or place for a break. He literally worked himself from probably in a day, instead of working like the normal 8 hours, he was probably putting in like 12 to 15, depending on how aggressive he was about it. And then he would come to work and he would get angry with the people he worked with, because either A, they weren't working as hard as him, because one, they're not required to. You are not required to put in 15 hours of work at a job when the job only technically says 8. You're putting in 15 because of how anal retentive you are as a person. That's why you're fucking doing that, not because you have to do that. And I think that's important, because the dude literally borderline drove himself insane. And then once he came to that realization, he's like, I gotta quit. And that's what he did. He quit. His neurosis was so bad that if he had kept working, he would have just fallen back into the same pattern. Which is why I say you have to know how much you're worth. Because if you are worth way more than this, do not give them more than what you're worth. Especially with how the job market is today. Which is a weird thing where like a lot of base level jobs have a lot of openings because people are too good to work them. At the same time, a bunch of high level jobs are like not available because everybody think they can work them. And some people are just, lying to themselves and full of shit. But some people are working themselves to bone at dead end jobs. I'm like, bro, you are way better for working than this. Why are you giving this to this half-ass company that isn't even paying you for all this extra work you're doing? Like when I found out the dude was working like after hours to fix devices for his school, I'm like, bro, you aren't getting paid for any of this. This man was making full-on PowerPoints. This man was like highly efficient. I could tell the dude had like skills that realistically reached way beyond what the job was requiring. And the only reason why he did what he did is because he thought it would make his life easier. Not realizing when you're in a job, especially a job that deals with like customer service, it will never be as easy as you want it, because you're dealing with people, and some people won't change. Some people are going to be who they're going to be, which means you're going to get screwed no matter what. There's no way to really avoid it, and there's no way to really like move past it. You were going to get screwed. So with that knowledge of being accepted, why are you doing all this, bro? Why are you pushing yourself to the motherfucking bone? And that's what a lot of people working jobs do. You want to do the proper job of the job you want to do. You will forsake your own peace and time. And what happens is that your mind and your heart and your whole like state just slowly degrades over time. No one is meant to go this hard this consistently with no breaks. You're not meant to do it. Because if you did it, you would literally lose yourself. And that's what happens. A lot of people lose themselves. They put in all this effort, they try so hard, and then they break down, and then they realize their job didn't give that much of a shit, which I think has created like this level of like emotional dissonance with people's jobs nowadays, because there's no sense of commitment, which I don't think is intrinsically a bad thing, but I think it also created people who are lazy. Because now we're in the era of I can make my own job. I can build my own career. I can start my own brand, which are great things. The ability to become an entrepreneur is great. I think what people don't realize is that being an entrepreneur means you have to have way more discipline than like anybody else. The freedom of being able to do what you want is great, but you have to be more disciplined than a person working a 9 to 5. Because not only are you managing your own salary, you're managing the salary of your potential employees. You're managing the salary. You're managing your own insurance. You're managing your taxes. You got to do way more as an individual because you have your own shit. And I think people don't really recognize that. But they want to be like, I'm worth X amount of dollars. Prove it. When you're an entrepreneur, that's when you have to prove it. That's absolutely when you have to prove it. You can use the excuse of, well, I'm not working on X amount of people's dime. And then also figure out a way of balancing your life in and out of work. Because think about it. I think it was one thing. It's funny I mentioned this because Eminem just dropped his new album today. And I've been listening to it a lot. I was listening to it before the stream started. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But that's not the point. The interesting thing I found out is that Eminem, for example, I think who was it? I think it was, I want to say it was like T.I. or, no, it was Akon. I think Akon did an interview when, what was it? What was the song he did? Like Smack That. When he did that song Smack That with Eminem, he was doing interviews and he mentioned how Eminem, for whatever reason, treats this rap shit like a job. He's like, listen, M comes in at like 7 and leaves at like 4. Or he comes in at 8 and he leaves at 5. Like he's not staying up all night doing the whole BSing in the studio for like 8 hours and late at night. He's like, bro, it's 5 o'clock. I'm clocking out. He treated rap like a proper job, because if you don't disconnect yourself from the job, you will lose it. You will become absorbed by your work in a position that really don't give that much a fuck about you, or you won't have any real sense of self. So when it comes to a work position, I always bring that up. You have to know what you are worth as an individual by being willing to know when to cut it off. I think that's probably the most important thing. If you don't know how to cut off, like if there's no line in between when the job ends and when your life begins, your life never begins and you're stuck in your job. And now it's like, damn, 20 years have gone by. Why am I still here? Well, you just wanted to do a good job. Yeah, but you forgot about yourself. The reality is we need some sense of balance, right? Knowing your worth means you know what you can and can't do and what you need to survive and what you need to like function. And people don't have all that peace of mind when your job is like your life, which is why you don't make your job your life, which is why I think M did that whole thing with rap shit. Rap shit can easily become like your life because you could be BSing with people in the damn studio until like 4 o'clock in the morning BSing, and you realize, damn, my sleep schedule's fucked up. I drank way more than I wanted to. People don't understand. Social drinking and social eating, like a lot of problems we have as individuals come from the interactions with other people. So if you don't create limits and boundaries for yourself, you will never obtain like true enlightenment or betterment. Which is why I say, and the funny thing is, as you achieve these things like enlightenment and betterment, you will then as a person become more and more valuable. You become a better person, you have a better work ethic, you can literally do anything and everything better by giving yourself the ability to know when to cut shit off. It's weird to acknowledge, but like human beings in some cases work better under restrictions. Actually, some people think they work the best under restrictions, which is probably true. So knowing how much you're worth and knowing how much you can provide and produce means you got to know when your time is not required to be somewhere for you to put in this extra effort. Now, when it comes to personal relationships, it's a lot harder because people don't want to lose friends just because they think they're better than their friends. And it's not even that you're better than your friends. It's just that as people, you've changed, right? You have a friend who indulges in things that you just don't care about no more. Things that y'all don't do together no more, right? Y'all ain't around fucking around like doing the same shit. When you were in high school, messing around in convenience stores and on a Friday night, it was different. But now you're in your mid-20s and you realize your friend, oh, low-key might be an alcoholic or he's just doing too much nowadays, and you just like, you don't find yourself agreeing with him. But y'all been friends for so long, so you don't know how to really cut it off. No, like that, and I think that's really the core of the struggle. You don't know how to cut it off. You don't know how to get away. And people be like, well, see, man, and then and the funny thing is, get away from the motherfuckers who always talk about we, okay? I've never liked this we talk. It's something that like girls do with their boyfriends, where they'll be like, who's texting us, right? They're texting my phone, but she'll be like, who's texting us, right? And when you're married, that's a little bit more lenient. But like if we're friends and you're doing that whole grouping us together thing, it's like you view us as a unit, which means I lose my sense of individuality, which means it's hard for me to have any self-actualization or self-purpose. You now have tied yourself to the existence of another, which is never a healthy thing to do. And I hate this part of it because it's a reality of being like, listen, me and you are just not going in the same direction anymore. There are things that you want that I don't want. We disagree on certain things. And realistically, I'm not bettering your life and you're not bettering mine. You want to live a certain way and I want to live a certain way. And those ways don't coincide anymore. It's that whole growing apart even when you're together. And people have to realize that, listen, you're both cheating yourselves by trying to stay in a relationship that ultimately is toxic. No, Goki, that's Goki. That's Lightning being dumb. Don't pay him any attention, okay? Don't pay him any attention. That's a running joke he likes to say about my nephew, even though it's my nephew, and he keeps calling him my son. But no, we were talking about like when it comes to knowing your worth and when it comes to your relationships, friends don't necessarily stay friends partially for that reason. If you become a negative influence on another person's life and vice versa, like someone becomes a negative, like at that point you need to acknowledge the things I want to do, I'm not getting any closer to doing them, and the stuff that we do together isn't helping me. Like our connection should at the very most be reaping a positive influence on my life. And realistically, it's not, because we stay out late and we drink and then we get tired and I get hungover and I'm barely making it into work. And you're like, you don't care because you're not working, which is cool for you, but you're keeping me up and you want me to come with you and drink with you and go to the club with you. And there's no benefit to that. And people hate it because then it means you're saying, because people get offended. Talking about, oh, you think you're better than me because you got a job? No, bro. We're cool, but like I want to keep my job. I want to buy a house. I want to go to school. I want to get a degree. I need to do these things to achieve that. And us hanging out the way that we're hanging out is literally a detriment to me achieving my goals as a person. My worth is being diminished because of how you want to live your life, which means that I am in a bad situation and I need to make a change and move. Which is fine, but I know people take that the wrong way. It's like, bro, we can be cool, but we just can't associate the way we've been associating with. And then some people literally just don't want to. Some people want to wallow in self-pity, and they want you to wallow with them. The problem is that as you grow as a person, you will start to notice more and more toxic traits in the people you're around, which will make you want to disengage with them more and more. And then all of a sudden you look over and you're like, yeah, we're not really friends no more. Like, I know you, but I don't want to know you anymore. Because knowing you literally did me no favors. And that's literally what happened. It literally did. Like, some of these relationships you have, you will come to realize, did you no fucking favors? But you kept them because you thought they were important enough to keep, not really looking around and realizing, dog, this shit is toxic as hell. It's toxic as hell. Why did I keep this? You kept it because you thought it was worth something. And at some point it was. Not to like bring it down. True, that's why I don't hang around any of my friends from high school. Exactly. But that's because you had to recognize your worth. And there's not, listen, I don't want to be the guy who's like, your way of life is worse than mine, so fuck you. Listen, we are different people. What works for you doesn't work for me. And I'm not going to hamper your life by making your life change for me. So it'd be better if we just didn't associate. But they're like, bro, but I miss you, bro. I'm like, listen, you can miss me, and we can do that maybe in a more controlled environment where we can meet in the middle. Either we fight for the friendship or we accept that we've just grown apart as individuals. Now it depends what you mean when you say you respond with the same energy. If that just means you don't regard them or interact with them, that's fine. But don't be on some hating shit. That negativity people hold on to as individuals is just as toxic. And people don't realize how much of their lives they can ruin by being on that toxic mentality. They do it because it's easy and it becomes a habit, but you don't need to do that. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be on this like, fuck you, man, you ain't shit anymore. Like, I know it's hard because it's so out of your norm. Like in a work, that's why I said it's easier in a work interaction, because when it comes to work, there are set parameters. There is no emotional connection at work. The idea is you are a good worker, so you want to do a good job, which leads you to sometimes overwork than what you need to. What that means is if you're not getting paid overtime and you're not getting paid for it, don't fucking do it. And it's hard. That's why I think there's those TikToks and YouTube videos where they have, I think it's this girl who like makes clear parameters about what she is and isn't going to do. And in these business jobs, they're like, well, I stayed the late hours. I'm like, well, good for you. And then you get looked down upon because you're only doing the bare minimum. Like, no, I'm doing what's required. And I think that's the problem. At some point in time, the bare minimum became like viewed as a negative. But really, it's not even the bare minimum. What it is what is required. I am required to be here 8 hours and to get X amount of work done during that 8 hours. And if I don't get that work done, that's on me. Or I get it done tomorrow. As long as I'm given a proper amount of time to get work done, the work should get done. The problem is that jobs, just like people, can be unhinged and plans can change and shit can get fucked up. And they want you to be just as flexible to be able to roll with those punches. The reason why we don't just roll with those punches, though, is a simple and clear reason. Because when you roll with those punches, you know what happens? You end up working a 9-hour night on a 4-hour day and coming in 3 hours and being like, time to start another 8-hour day. You're not supposed to do that. You're doing it because you think you need to. The reality is you don't. But when it comes to a friendship that doesn't have locked in parameters, because no one does that. No one goes, hi, my name's Terrell and I would like to be your friend. Here is my friend contract with the parameters of how we're going to be friends. No one fucking does that because it doesn't make sense. Most friendships are like a natural interaction that evolves into something else, right? There's no way I'm coming into this with a friendship contract, which means it's harder to break away from that friendship and recognize that, listen, this is not helping you or me. And as much as you may hate it, for us to both be happy and to live enjoyable lives in the way that we want to, we can't associate like this. So either we come up with a way where we can meet in the middle and associate, or we just don't need to associate. The reason why it bothers people so much is because making friends is hard. Making friends is hard. Building connections is hard. Having any type of like emotional discourse is hard. And we don't want to fucking do it because it's hard. How do you make friends? How do you make friends starting from scratch? You don't. It sucks. It's like this weird floundering about trying to figure shit out. How do I make friends? And so they don't. They just sit there, and that's how you get those people who are like introverted like hell. Because they don't want to get out there. Because if they get out there, that means they got to go through the whole process again. So some of us are friends with people we aren't even friends with for the convenience of having friends. We care more about the convenience of having friends than having worthwhile friendships, which shows a lot about our state as a society. We are so lonely that we rather put ourselves in shitty situations than to be in healthy ones. It's kind of funny because these are the same people who have toxic relationships and stay in those as well. If anything, that's probably something you should probably look at as your partner. See what kind of friends your partner hangs around. If your friends hang around some toxic individuals that even your partner doesn't even agree with them half of the time, the first question then becomes, why are you still hanging with them? And the reason is because it's too hard to not do. You have a person you care about and you feel like you have to owe a certain level of loyalty to that's actively becoming a detriment in your own life. So why are you still indulging them as individuals? Their time is limited and creating genuine connections takes a long time. Exactly. But what the alternative I'm understanding is you rather be in a toxic one that's disingenuous than work through the process of building a genuine one. What we're saying is that toxicity is okay because either we're too lazy or we're afraid of building genuine connections. That's essentially what I get out of the statement. It is too time consuming and too hard, so I'm not going to do it. Which then makes you look bad as a person. Like that negatively affects you as an individual. I don't know if that's really acknowledged, but that's what's happening. You will now come off as a worse person because of what you're willing to tolerate because of the inconvenience it would provide. Which is something I wanted to, like, it kind of bleeds into something I've been thinking about anyway. That life in its core is about being uncomfortable. There is nothing worth living in life that is based in comfortability. Not a goddamn thing. There's nothing enjoyable and comfortable in life that is built under the premise of comfortability. The fuck you trying to get comfortable for? You live in. Life has never been about being comfortable. And spoiler alert, it's still not about being comfortable. So that's something I think people are going to struggle with for a while. And that's why they don't want to break off these friendships they built. Because it's like, oh, I've known them X amount of years and we've had X amount of relationships together and we've been friends for so fucking long. I don't want to ruin all that. I'm like, well, cool, I'm glad you don't want to ruin it. But like, this shit is not benefiting you. Like at all. What is the benefit from this? It gives you a semblance of connection. And maybe, and that honestly, that could be a conversation in itself. That are people fine with disingenuous connections as long as they do enough? And the sad thing is, I think that I already know the answer. I think people are perfectly fine with disingenuous connections. And some of those connections are disconnect. Also, because the reality is that you don't know who you're going to need or know in the future. And sometimes those disingenuous connections can reap positive rewards, even though people don't like to acknowledge that part of the conversation. Part of the reason why people have disingenuous connections is because even though you don't really fuck with the individual like that, it is harder for you as a human to keep breaking off these disingenuous connections. Also because it like bleeds into other issues. Especially if it's all in like the same area you live in. For example, everyone has a coworker they don't fuck with. Everybody has a coworker they don't fuck with. But you don't tell that coworker I don't fuck with you because you have to deal with that coworker consistently. And what benefit does it provide you to be like, you're a shitty coworker and I dislike you, knowing that when you come back on Tuesday, he's going to be right there. And now you've made your job environment harder. Even in friend groups, that's you don't fuck with a particular friend, but the rest of your friend group does. If you tell that person you don't fuck with them, you know what happens? Your friend group isn't going to drop them and they're not going to drop you. So now you still have to interact with each other knowing that y'all don't like each other. And a lot of people just tell you you're creating unnecessary animosity in a group, which is essentially what is happening. So unfortunately, there is a value to disingenuous friendships. But it's only because life is harder The only way you can really become the person you really want to be is after you become successful, which is why a lot of people say rich people are dickheads. They say that a lot. Rich people are dickheads. I'm like, well, that's because humans are dickheads. The only reason why it seems more offensive with them is because they're rich. But you want to know why they do it? It's because they're rich. They don't have to deal with the requirements of building proper connections and being cordial and doing this kind of like wearing a fake mask to conceal their true identity and intentions, like you would have to do normally. You can do whatever you want because you got fuck you money. I don't think people really understand what fuck you money really means. Fuck you money means I ain't gotta care about anything you are as a person. I don't have to care about you. I don't care about what you represent. I don't have to care about anything in regards to you because I got fuck you money. I got money that allows me to give the ability to say fuck you. The kicker is it doesn't, because if anything ever goes wrong in your life, you've essentially isolated yourself. But people are more inclined to do it when you got fuck you money. I am more inclined to say fuck everybody and hide off in my mansion by myself than to do that when I don't have anything, where I'm just doing okay. Because life is unpredictable and you don't know who you're going to need. Also, the way people feel about certain relationships is based under certain parameters anyway. Like, I don't fuck with you just because we're at work. That doesn't mean you're intrinsically a bad person. I just don't like the way you are as a worker. That's something I also have to become aware of. There is a difference between someone who's a shitty person and a shitty worker. And I think we need to be more open about that distinction. There are shitty workers but good people. And there are good workers and shitty people. Having a good work ethic doesn't make you a good person. It just means you have a good work ethic. And vice versa. Just because you don't have a good work ethic doesn't mean you're not a good person. You just have a shitty work ethic. People have to learn these things. You don't know where these people are coming from in their background. So it takes time to build up that history, their repertoire, and a rapport. I should have said rapport. I'm sorry. And when you build it is when you start learning about the individual and you figure out, okay, they're like this, they're X, Y, and Z, and you're X, Y, and A, and that's the things that you sometimes correlate on and you don't. I think it's so hard because people are so different. There's so many fucking layers. And there's so many different aspects that aren't openly acknowledged because shit is just different and difficult. And with that acknowledgement, that means you have to also recognize some things just don't float the way it's supposed to. Or the way you would think they do. But the biggest thing that is more important than any of that is that you obtain internal peace and balance. Which is hard to do, but you gotta do. Because if you don't do, you will lose yourself, you will lose your mind, and any semblance of peace. Kind of like an artist who is a great person but makes trash art. Exactly. Some people literally, you can be one and not the other, I guess is my point. I think that's the point I'm making. Like, you can be one and not the other. I think people just gotta recognize that. And recognize that sometimes you gotta do certain things to... Oh my God, what the fuck? Sorry. I hit a button and fucking audio went crazy. It's ridiculous. But no, but yeah, that's the core of it. I would say acknowledging your worth means you have to know what things you should and should not put up with. Also, hey Navy, and I think some people are okay with putting up with more than others. Whether or not it's good for them is almost irrelevant to them, which is kind of concerning in its own right, but it is what it is, unfortunately. When you're taught to live a certain lifestyle, that's what you're, especially if you were born that way. It's probably the reason why I think people always talk about the importance of therapy. Therapy isn't always just to talk about some deep-rooted trauma you have. It's also to acknowledge that, like, there are certain habits you got from childhood that were never okay, but it was a lot, but they weren't bad because they were just to let you cope through the situation. It was like some things as an individual you do was mainly meant for the sake purpose of you being able to get through a situation that you didn't even want to, that you were just put in. And now that you're in a healthier place, you got to know to change those habits. And if you don't think you're worth that change, that's a whole other conversation we need to have. But yeah, that's just a lot. For those who have opinions, I would love to hear them though. You got to have a good variety of different perspectives, because if you don't, you can get caught up in a fucking yes hole. Like, oh, I'm always right. I already knew it was good. That's why I say the thing that people struggle with a lot is self-reflection. People hate self-reflection because it's them acknowledging everything about themselves that are wrong. And the funny thing is, the irony that people don't realize that they could be wrong about being hard on themselves. What I mean by that is, there are some people who are so aggressively hard on themselves, they just think they're trash. A self-value issue. I would say I probably have a variation of that problem. Where like to give an example, when people like role play or like try to throw themselves into a story or whatever, right? I always write either myself or a character like me as like a person who has major self confidence issues, because that's something as an individual I already struggle with. Like, that's an internal struggle. And I'm not even saying I'm like perfect and that I deserve like, and I need like more love. I'm just saying I probably could do better with self-love than I currently do, if that makes sense. And I think that's the part that's important. That like that doesn't happen as much as it should. As humans, we like to label things in order to feel more safe. But humans are also multifaceted, so can you really put a label on that for everybody? You can't, but if you don't, you should love yourself now. You should love yourself now. Jesus. I like the way that's described, actually. That you can. I like the idea. I like the way you phrased it. The humans label things to make themselves safe, because you know why? Because the unknown scares the fuck out of us. Like, it's way more preferable to be in a situation where I know what I'm dealing with than to not know, because not knowing is scarier than knowing. It's kind of like, is that a serial killer at the door or is it my mother? You don't know. And the not knowing scares you, because then you think of the worst of both. Like when someone goes knock, knock, knock at the door and I don't know who it is and they won't answer me, I'm scared out of my mind. That's why we peek behind the curtain. That's why we want a peephole. Not knowing in a lot of cases is scary as fuck. The unknown terrifies us, because for some reason that's scarier than the reality. The reality could be a murderer with a shotgun, and I think we would be more scared if you asked the person, would you rather not know who's at the door or know who's at the door? Now, anybody could be at the door, but would you rather not know or know? And I would bet money the majority of people would rather know, because not knowing is scarier. Like, that's why people can fuck people up with just mind games. You can create a situation that creates the illusion of knowing something, and people would rather take the illusion of knowing than actually knowing. Like, would you rather? It's kind of like, here's a box, right? Put your hand in the box. Are you going to tell me what's in the box? No. Is there anything, like, can I say anything in the box? No. Put your hand in the box. Am I required to put my hands in the box? Yes. You have to put your hands in this box. But I don't know what's in the box. There could be nothing in the box, and I bet you your hand is immediately like, you already fucking scared. What are you scared of? I haven't told you about anything in the box. It's because you don't know what's in the box. Now, if I said there's an apple in the box, you're a lot calmer because you know. I could tell you there's a spider in the box, and some people would have a better relief knowing, oh, it's just a fucking spider. But if I told you I don't know what's in the box, you don't know what's in the box, put your hand in the box, and you still have to do it, that is terrifying. So that's why we label things. We label them because if we don't have a name for this shit, it scares us. We're like, what the fuck is going on? How do I even describe this? How do I even begin to approach it? How do you approach the unknown when it's the unknown? But if I can label it or correlate it with something else in my life, that is easier for me, bro. It's easier to be like, okay, hold on. So it's like spikes, but it's not exactly spikes, but it's like spikes. I can at least take my relation to what I know spikes to be and apply it to it and then just kind of work around the parameters. But just being like, no, it's something, but we don't know what it is. You're like, I don't want to touch it. And all it could be in there is a hamster or some shit. The greatest minds on earth started by exploring the unknown. Exactly. There's a level of curiosity, obviously. I think it's not like but I think not knowing is scarier than knowing. Gemini energy. Thank you for the gym. Yes, lightning. I don't like tarantulas. Thank you, Firespawn. What's up, Landon? Did I just get like people? Did my stream reach people that it doesn't normally reach all of a sudden? Because I don't recognize either of you. Not that I'm not glad you're here. I'm just surprised. But yeah, we're just talking about your worth. It kind of snowballed into other things, but yeah. Oh, you brought them? Damn, man, you didn't tell me you were bringing anything. It's actually, that's another example. When your friend calls you and says he's coming over, I'm like, cool. I'm bringing people with me. Who? That's always your first thing. Landon, your name sounds kind of familiar. But like, it's always like, who are you bringing? And they're like, I don't know. So like, that's always your first question. Like, I'm bringing friends with me, and you be like, who? And you're like, I don't know. You know them. Nah, dog. Who's coming? I mean, you know them. So what's the problem? I'm asking you who's coming, and you're telling me I know them. That's not what I want to know, because your reaction then changes depending on who the person's name they mention. You'd be like, I'm bringing John. Oh, okay, I don't care. John's cool. I'm bringing Sarah. Oh my God, don't bring Sarah. That bear's a bitch. Like. That's the reaction you get. And the correlated back to what I mean by knowing your worth is acknowledging these faults in yourself and knowing what interactions you should and shouldn't be in. Like, for example, you can be a toxic person and recognize your own toxicity and know not to put yourself in a shitty situation. Like, if you run into a girl, I'm the one who lives in Ohio, I wanted you to pick me up so I can sleep over at your house for a couple of days. I do not remember that. No, Goki. Goki, I'm not saying Sarah's giving fight. Oh, no, Goki. No, listen, Goki. Listen. It was just a name. It could have been Raymond, okay? It could have been Draymond? Ramond. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I wouldn't have helped Landon. I wouldn't have gone anyway. I don't like taking cross-country trips. There's too many unknowns on a cross-country trip. I can run into people I don't know. And people I don't know terrify me. Sorry. But yeah, that's me talking about like acknowledging you as an individual, you know what you should and shouldn't be around. There are some people, like for example, when a guy who's toxic, who recognizes that the girl he's interacting with is toxic, and being like, listen, I think we probably would interact really well together, but we're both the same kind of person, and that's fucking dangerous. That would literally be the response. Like, listen, I have some habits that aren't healthy, and I can already tell you have some habits that aren't healthy. She'd be like, you don't want to even try and experiment? Listen. I've literally done the same dance before. I'm not good enough to be in this situation right now. And I need to get at least better before I would even humor this. And I think that's the only way you can really deal with the situations, acknowledging your own faults as a human being. It's also the best way to like break it off with a person, and don't seem like you're being offensive. Although some people will still take offense, so they're gonna still get mad. You ain't nothing you can really do about it. I'm just saying it's a route you can take. But like I said, it's always important to acknowledge yourself and your own faults. That's why I say people don't like self-reflection, because it's like looking at the ugly person in the mirror and going, "That's me." That's literally what it is. I'm pointing at the camera and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, "I'm a." Say it with your whole chest. Say it with your whole chest. Look at me. Okay. I'm not okay. And it's okay because not everybody's okay. And motherfuckers, that shit will ruin a person, bro. If a person, it depends, and it's different for each individual, mind you. What's up with all the old stream you uploaded recently that were filmed at your mom's house? No, old streams. And old streams. What old streams? You must be talking about. So also, side note, YouTube has been on some weird stuff, bro. YouTube has been on some weird stuff. So I apparently found out that, like, for whatever reason, YouTube went back and unlisted like a fuck ton of my videos. So over probably the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to like re-publicize them, but like in chunks. Because if I did everything at once, you would have got flooded by like 60 videos or whatever. You look at mirrors to reflect. I look at mirrors and they break. We're not the same. Yeah. Oh my God, Goki. Goki, no, bro. Listen. If you think you ugly, there are certain things you can do to fix yourself. You ain't gotta listen. No one's face and body are permanently stuck the way they are. I mean, I'm not out here promoting plastic surgery because I'm not that guy. But like, there are certain things you can do for self-improvement, buddy. You can take skincare products if you think your skin is like pimply or whatever the fuck. Like, there are things you can do. We ain't gotta like just take the L on just the face, okay? Do what you can. That's the best way to describe it. If you don't feel good, do what you need to do to make yourself feel better. Don't wallow in self-misery, because that's almost worse. That's worse than just being ugly. Being ugly is something you can fix. And your attitude can help you build a better sense of self. Lining's on his shit. Be ugly with vibrant skin. Hey man, do what you do. The goal is to love yourself. Whatever that involves you doing, love yourself. Because you're the one you gotta be with for the rest of your life. No matter what happens, no matter what goes down, you are gonna be the one by yourself with yourself. So if you aren't happy with yourself, you gotta do something. You better do something. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. But I don't know. I think the most interesting, I don't love myself. I mean, I like me like a brother. What the fuck? I mean, I think I'm cool, bro, but like, I don't know if I really feel like myself. Like, I think I like myself to a degree, but I don't think I love myself to like a major degree. It's complicated. I'm a complicated person, okay? It's really hard to like explain that like you're okay, but like in a not sexy kind of way, but like in a brother and sister kind of way. Oh my goodness, it's wild, bro. Sorry, but yeah, I think, like I said, I think in a work situation it's a little bit easier. And I think for those who struggle with being like a kind of person who wants to do a good job but doesn't realize that they clock out at 5 o'clock, like, you're gonna have to either you gotta redo your time. Like, realistically, you gotta get better at managing your time. How does it feel to see someone who can afford burgers lightning? Yeah, look at this. Look at this wildest stuff. When did you feel your newest videos? You should have done it as a live stream instead. My newest video. I don't know. It depends on what the video was. Actually, the last video I did was a live stream. The last video I uploaded, which was the live stream I did with me, KG, and Tyrone, which is an old stream, but I just finally uploaded it. So technically, it was a live stream. It just wasn't like live as in recently. Yeah, that was live like last year. I did it on Twitch, so it was live. You just didn't see it live. I'm sorry. But yeah, damn, that distracted me. I can't focus, bro. I'm be real with you. I've been listening to so much music, Eminem music, like in the last 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours. My brain is so like out of it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. When you get into a pocket and you start vibing, you don't want to do nothing else, bro. I don't. What are you trying to go? You want to be productive? Fuck productive, bro. Diddle. I'm eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. All right, that's good. It's quality. It's quality cereal. We fuck with that cereal like a lot, actually. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it would always be easier to kind of be able to kind of like make a break in between my work life and my personal life, and that should be the basis of how you do things first. If you can't create that split between work and yourself, you ain't gonna get nothing else situated, okay? Because you don't even have the time in your personal life that you're supposed to have. So my rule, and it's hard because if I want to do a good job and there's just not enough time in the day, do it tomorrow. Unfortunately, what's gonna have to happen is you have to get comfortable with not finishing everything in a day or being completionist during the day. It depends on the job, mind you, but still, like, give me an example. Do you guys still stream every Monday with KG and talk about the anime? No, the pod is dead. The Pokeball is dead. But like, for example, with me fixing computers, kids break a lot of shit, okay? Kids break a lot of shit. I have literally come in a day and there'd be 20 devices broken. While throughout the day, I'm getting at least another 10 to 15 more. Realistically, I'm not fixing 35 devices. Make this an Eminem glazing stream. I can't because of copyright infringement. And I need the money because I'm poor. And the economy's bad. And we have a president who doesn't realize who his vice president is. It's not the point. It's not the point. I'm burping a lot. I drunk a lot of this smart water, but I'm not feeling a lot smarter. I'm feeling waterlogged. I might be drowning, y'all. Can you drown in real time and not realize it? And then like add to your drowning? That seems like a wild thing to be, but that's besides the point. But yeah, like there's a lot of devices that get broken for me at the schools. I'm not fixing 35 devices in a day. I have to accept that I'm not going to fix 35 devices in a day and acknowledge that I will do what I can for that day and then I'll worry about it then tomorrow. And I think that's been a lot of people's struggle is like being in a job where like something is just not possible and being okay with it not being possible. But if I just had a little bit more time, no. Because if you gave the job all your time, where's your time? Where's your peace? Actually, if you don't get your peace, you aren't going to be able to function. And if you can't function, that means you can't go back to work. So that job you're so concerned about won't even get any work done because you'll be out, because you'll be on medical leave, because your brain will have exploded in your body. That actually wouldn't have, if that happens, you're dead anyway. So I guess we shouldn't even talk about that. That's a little bit too dark. A little bit too negativo. But no, I always find these conversations interesting because I'm always curious about how people handle these things or if people even have these problems in the first place. Because it's not uncommon, but people just don't talk about it. Yeah, I already know, Tyrone. I don't ever listen. You two don't like me, bro. I'm too abrasive. I'm too abrasive, and my arms are sweaty. Knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on my sweater. See, it's mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs. But I keep on forgetting because when I wrote down, the whole crowd is going so loud. I go to open my mouth, but the words just don't seem to come out. I think I'm choking now. Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out. Time's over. Blow. Back in reality. Damn, here's gravity. Oh, I'm not a rabbit, but I'm feeling so mad. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm saying bambling. What's up, Boom? Here comes the boom. My oldest stepsister had a son in November, and her younger sister just had a daughter yesterday. They're 27 and 25. Is that too young to be having kids? I don't know. You got to ask them. If you didn't ask them this question, I feel like you won't get the answer you're looking for. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, self-reflection is always important. And if you don't do it, you done fucked up. But I don't really think I have any more to add on that conversation. I'm sorry, guys. YouTube demonetized me because unfortunately I didn't have the brain of a 7-year-old child. Wow, that's some angry chicka, insane shady. Oh Lord, Retro, how you doing, bro? We living life or we just living? Listen, we can't get on YouTube, okay? I think it's always been interesting with the YouTube conversation that people don't just acknowledge that, like, part of the reason why some people fall out of YouTube, whether they're doing it or getting views, is because when you were making content originally, you were making content essentially for yourself. The demographic you were appealing to was just you. And it made perfect sense because you were you, so you knew what you liked. The problem is you got older, but your audience didn't. So because your audience never got older, you essentially fell out of touch with your audience. That's why a lot of Minecraft YouTubers don't really click anymore. You guys are already kind of out of the age bracket to begin with, and that shit only got worse as time went on. And then you made more money, and it became more and more of a job, and then it just became your job, and then it was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you guys don't like the content I make anymore? Just living. My train yesterday stopped and got help for 6 hours due to some gas attack. Oh, you having fun in your life today, Death Retro, Death Retro, Death to Retro, like death to some shady. Let me stop. Y'all don't understand. I want to low key and just go back and start blasting Eminem music for a little while. Also, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm also in the mood to just watch a bunch of reactions to the songs, because what I did is when the songs came out, I listened to them by myself and I haven't watched any reactions. And then I took a nap when I got home and I woke up right before the stream started. So I haven't had a chance to. I always like to watch reactions to Eminem music because Eminem's music garners such a wide variety of responses. And I really want to just listen to the fucking album again. Yeah, like I don't even need to know anything. No, I don't need to be 18 again. I've had dreams of being 18. I've had dreams of like my entire past and present and future slamming into itself. You're gonna be done streaming already? I haven't listened to the album yet. How live are they? How fire are they? It depends on what kind of Eminem you like, but it's a very cool and nice album. Like I like the concept that he went with. And I think he did a good job portraying it. Also, completely random, but I got Octopath 2, and that shit looks to be fire. It looks, shit better be fire. I got Octopath 2 on Game Pass. I just haven't really played it yet, so I can't really tell you. I've been meaning to, but Kingdom Hearts has been kind of like on my ass. And I need to finish that. That needs to be done this week. Like going into like next Wednesday, that needs to be done. Because it's been sitting around for too long. I've technically beaten the main game already. This is all me doing extra shit because I'm a crazy person. And I'm going to be angry if the shit doesn't work out in my favor. How is Roblox officially dead? Don't people still play Roblox pretty consistently? I know kids who are like almost teenagers who are still playing Roblox, and Roblox definitely feels like a kid thing. But hell, kids aren't even playing console games like they used to, which is kind of wild. That's why Sony is selling their stuff on PC to get some more revenue because they're spending too much, and then they can't make the money that they need to survive. And they need money to survive, ladies and gentlemen. They absolutely need money. I feel like I'm rambling now. I feel like I've gone into full rambling mode, which I don't think is intrinsically good. Also, for some reason, my voice is really raw and it's bothering me. Although I did talk a lot today, I think my voice is just getting kind of rough. I might need to just chill out, especially because tomorrow I want to do a lot of Persona 3 Reload, so maybe I need to just chill out for the rest of tonight. Plus, that really, as far as the main topic is concerned, I've kind of already hit my points. The problem is that I feel like the videos I be making sometimes, Terrell, when will you these Persona streams end? When will you stream something good? Retro, what do you determine as good? Because we've been through this with you and your opinions. Like what do you determine as good? And wait, and Rollers already know your game recommendations, okay? Don't worry. When Kingdom Hearts finishes, you'll get something better. So you have to be patient, young one. Young one. I don't want to call him young one. He's older than me, like by a decent amount. I need to shut that hell up. Respect my elders, as they would say. But I think I'm gonna chill out for today. Just give you a short, chill, 1 hour-ish stream. And then tomorrow, I'll probably give you the Persona stream like usual. Plus that, I'm gonna be real with you, I want to go chill out for a little bit. And my voice seems to be like kind of raw and I don't like that, so I might go take like a lozenge or something. Brave Masters versus Fairy Tail. You mean Rave Master? You mean Rave Master. That's besides the point. I'm gonna go chill out, guys. I'm gonna go chill out and relax and watch some anime reactions. I can watch Kingdom Hearts, Elden Ring, or Bloodborne because I want to play those, and I don't like the Persona franchise. Retro, why you're just difficult as what you are. Essentially, I have to find games that you don't want to play, but you do want to watch. It's wild. That's wild. I'm gonna go, guys, because I'm gonna go chill out for today. And I'll think about Retro's dream stream game for myself, and then I'll come back with a better answer. But I'm gonna go chill out for the rest of the night. Hope you guys enjoy yourself. We're gonna just make this short and sweet and relaxed. I will see you guys tomorrow for Persona 3 Reload, where we'll be streaming 3 fucking hours. And don't forget to support the stream because you know your boy's getting demonetized. Anywho, life's a game, light a win. I will catch you guys tomorrow. And don't have too much fun. I don't have a MILF waiting for me. Don't ever say that to me. I would like a nice, young, respectable woman. Good night, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.